Hello and welcome to Empire Rugby League. This is Coaching from the Couch with Bear and Wombat. Wombat, how are ya?
Fucking died, honestly. just work, I guess. But no, good to be talking about footy again.
Awesome. All right, well, round 14 wrap-up. We'll crack straight into it. And this week in the NRL.
Straight into the Forex Derby.
Yeah, so Broncos 44, Titans 14. But what I'm going to do, Wombat, is I'm going to mash in another game into this one because I think they were broken down very similarly. So Broncos 44, Titans 14, Dogs 30, Parramatta 12.
Yeah.
Now, my little slip up, because I read what games we were going to talk about, was NFL, because both these games had forward passes galore.
Yeah, Jared Sutton in the Broncos Titans game. I watched highlights and there was a lot of memes posting around about it, when Walsh did the NFL thing with Tom Brady when they launched in Vegas. So, Jared, I think
Jared Sutton and Ashley Klein were the referees respective games.
You see most of the time, Jared Sutton's called. He hasn't called one, then he hasn't called another, but then the third time, and two wrongs don't make it right here. But the one that he called a forward pass
had no impact on the game.
Was barely a it was borderline
flat.
Flat would be the right way to describe it, but that was borderline. Like, you had to kind of be on that right angle, and they show you camera angle, and I know it distorts it a fair bit, but when you've got the first one where Walsh has thrown it on the line and the player has caught it 5 metres in front of the line.
Yeah. Breno did the same thing on the other edge.
But the touchy is dead in line with where the man caught the ball.
Yep. Both every single forward pass in these two games, the touchy was in line with it and could have made a call and did nothing. So once again, why are we paying touch judges?
The third one that does get called, where's the touchy? Nowhere near in frame.
Yeah. Look, Brisbane scored 3 tries easily off massive forward passes, and then their other tries came off questionable penalties that, Titans probably should have D'd up a little bit better, but at the same time, you get a questionable penalty that marches you down the field into attacking position, and then I'm still not convinced on the Stags try, just quietly. Every other week we hear this word re-grip before the ball hits the ground. There was no re-gripping. It was his wrist that provided pressure. It's questionable.
There's been a few like
questionable.
That.
I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. Questionable with that one. But and then you move over to the Dogs Parramatta game again, and this happened last week as well. And this may be my blue and gold glasses, but this happened last week as well. Parramatta were reffed out of it in the first half. There was sequences of plays where forward passes were one after the other, yet nothing gets called. Reid Marnie threw about 5. I stopped counting after 5. Forward passes out of dummy half. Then Toby Sexton goes into dummy half, who's not a noted dummy half. Throws. Yeah. I stopped counting at 7. So, something's got to go. Something's got to give here. But to the two teams that won, it's not a slight on them.
No.
Because you can only play what's in front of you and what you're allowed to play. Therefore, the Broncos rode their luck and played some outstanding football.
I will say the one big thing, and I think every single time we talk about the team list, we talk about this.
Yeah.
But Paddy Carrigan is the Brisbane Bronco 13.
Yeah.
He is it. He will be it. And honestly reckon he'll retire in that jersey if he stays at the Broncos.
He'll be buried in it.
If he stays at the Broncos. But honestly, the Carrigan at 13, I was quite impressed with Corey Jensen.
Yeah, well, see, I think we spoke about this last week.
Many times.
I wanted more out of Jensen compared to last year.
I think he showed that, and hence why.
Putting him at that starting prop position with Payne, there it is.
And justifying my pick and reasoning of picking him on the bench for my Queensland side.
Oh, absolutely.
He went back to where I thought he could be.
Yeah.
And funny enough, he got a meat pie out of it too. So
yeah, he did too. Yeah,
that was fantastic to see, and the reception he got from the team, him scoring was phenomenal.
Yeah, I think the balance of that Broncos pack is a lot better now, and hopefully Madge just sticks to it. I'll tell you what, Milestone Madness this weekend, though. So Connor Tracy for the Dogs played his 100th game. Obviously, young Lockie Galvin debuted, crossed the stripe as well late in the game.
Off
well
of
done
Josh
to him.
Curran, too. Josh Curran was the one that passed that ball.
But mind you, I don't think Galvin was ready for the mobbing he copped from the Bulldogs teammates, because that never happened at the Tigers.
Yeah, but also the reception from the
Yeah,
crowd
when he
went
came
on the field.
that was insane.
You could hear, like, I watched the little videos of it that I could see every now and then, but like the crowd behind when he ran onto that field was
huge. That noise, that was
it was
awesome.
Insane. But not just from Dogs fans, from Eels fans too.
Oh, it was from everyone. I think everybody in the game is just happy to see this young kid out of a shitty situation, and hopefully now he can thrive and be what everyone thinks he can be.
Just quietly on the Galvin, where he's jumped on the field, Dogs kind of looked a bit sharper. Just that little bit sharper. Not a huge amount, but...
I think it's more the fact that you then had Galvin and Burton in the halves, two big bodies, and not world-class ball players, but
players
goddamn, they can run.
Would you say players that are not afraid to run the ball?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, they were both running halves, and the running halves in our game, the way it is with the speed and the quickness, is a recipe for success if you're on the front foot. And the Dogs were on the front foot for, the entire second half, because Parramatta weren't allowed out of their 40. But I'll tell you what, credit to Para. There was, with 10 minutes to go, there was only a 6-point differential. It was 18-12.
Yeah.
Now I'm sitting on the lounge and I'm going, I know this is going to blow out because we have done nothing but defend our line for 30 friggin' minutes. And it does blow out, but that's not the score.
Yeah.
So I want to give Para massive raps. In the first half, I think they defended 4 set restarts and a penalty on their own line. They did it again in the second half. They did nothing but defend in the second half. So I think Para, despite playing Penrith and the Dogs, any other teams they play, they win those 2 games and win them easily. Para are not the shit basket case that they were at the start of the season.
No.
But
I think that's got to be credit to Jason Rolls, just finding the cogs at work.
He's found the right mix with the young and the old.
But he's done the right thing, and he goes, "No, I know at the start of the year we're gonna be shit.
Yeah,
there's gonna be bumps. There's gonna be everything.
No halfback as well. So.
Yeah, but if you start to notice, it's starting to balance out now, which I think is the same thing. I guess you could say the same thing about Madge. He's not looking for this year. He's looking for next year.
100%. But moving on. Knights 26 over Manly 22. Now, I didn't catch this one. I had to help the Western Front boys out. But
I watched.
Manly were in front by a long way at halftime, were they not?
Not as... Knights got a very late try, I believe, just before halftime.
And then the second half comeback happens. I'm getting sick of this trend. It seems to be happening too often.
I will just say, this game, and this is coming from Queenslanders, so you might bite my head off, but you might write it with me here. This game, I would say, played Cherry Evans out of a Origin jersey.
Yeah, right. Okay.
He came out after half time. The starting point was where he kicked the ball for a 40-20, went out on the full.
Yeah.
Oh, went out just before. He took out the marker that said 40-20.
Oh, yep.
I had a good little laugh about. But anyway, so he took that out.
That should be worth a point.
Should be. But he did that. Didn't come off. Cool. No dramas. Straight after that, the Knights, it led to a Knights try.
Yeah. So an error to an opposition try. That's common these days.
Then straight after that, another error's happened, but it came from, I believe it was Cherry Evans again. He kicked it out on the full. Then there was a handful of bit of back and forward, but one player from the Knights team single-handedly destroyed Manly.
Fletcher Sharp?
Yep.
Yeah, no surprises there.
He was everywhere. He was involved. He was enthusiastic in everything he did. He was not afraid to run that ball. He was running that ball harder than their entire forward pack was.
Oh, that seems to happen most weeks with this kid.
Yeah, which is not hard to do when you're a Knights player. But the way that he ran the ball, he was involved in everything. There was a break at the very, very end. So right at this point, it's 22 all. Mm-hmm. Credit to Dane Gagai, who had commentators made everyone very aware because every kick he did, they said about how terrible his kicking percentage was. Now, as it's gone through, Gagai has slaughtered it from the sideline. Gagai single-handedly set up 2 tries down the right-hand side. Sharp's first one was absolute individual brilliance.
Yep.
Now, the second one, Gagai's got an out to their winger, and then it's gone back to, I believe it was Pierce Paul, through a break. But every time that Knights were running the ball, they were finding space outside Manly on a retreating defence.
Yeah.
And we see what happens when players like Sharp, like Gagai, that'll just attack.
Just take the space on offer. And that's something we'll get to a little bit later in the show.
So Pierce Paul had probably about 3 or 4 line breaks and tackle breaks in that one period of time after Manly errors.
Yeah.
Then it's gone back inside to Fletcher Sharp and he scores. He just burns them. But I would say
good Knights performance or shit Manly performance?
Good Fletcher Sharp performance. Terrible Manly performance.
All right, well, that's fair enough. We'll leave it there.
I'll say Fletcher Sharp and Gagai won that game because if Gagai didn't kick all those goals, they don't win. If Fletcher Sharp wasn't where he was and wasn't giving it everything he's got, they don't win.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, huge raps on Fletcher Sharp again, and Manly continue their, I don't know what they're doing, yo-yo season. Moving on, Storm 38 over the Cowboys 14. Now, another milestone in this one, it was the 100th game for Munster and Hughes as a halves partnership.
Only the 100th?
What? Only the 100th.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Munster in, out. Yeah, okay.
Origins and injuries and all that sort of stuff. But I'll tell you what, I know Melbourne got the win, but I don't think Craig's happy with it again. Like, there was a lot of errors and ill discipline from Melbourne, especially early in the game, which the Cowboys sort of let them off the hook because every time they had a chance, they'd drop the ball. So,
see, it's coming back again, and I don't like ripping a player, but I guess the Storm is my team, so Harry Grant needs to pull his ego aside and sit the fuck down and put the team first.
Yeah, there was another couple of moments where you're just going, come on, Harry.
I won't lie to you, take the captaincy away from him.
Yeah, that might be a thing. Players have been seen that the captains, they try too much then.
I'm going to come straight out and say it, make Hughes the captain.
Yeah, Hughes or Munster?
No. Hughes.
Just Hughes for Melbourne?
Hughes straight out captain. I don't want Pappy. I don't want Munster because that'll rattle Munster a bit more.
Yeah.
I know that's going to sound a bit odd because he's now...
Queensland
we'll get into
captain.
that later. He's now been named the Queensland captain. We'll get to that later. But I think Clubland, it's a different story to Origin.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, we'll get into that the whole captaincy around Origin later, but Hughes is the only option that I can see being solid. As in having no issues with him. He's done Dally M before. He's won the Dally M. Now, racking my head, and I know you're sitting here racking your head about players through that side.
Yeah, I got nothing.
The only other player I could potentially see taking the captaincy, Josh King.
Yeah, but you need him on there for 80.
Exactly my reason. So, Hughes.
Yeah, no, that's a fair call. But mind you, he wasn't he in some form on the weekend? Jesus Christ. Yeah. But, look, so it came out that Craig Bellamy's re-signed for another year, doing the one-year deals as he does. That's fine. I think touching on your note earlier about Jason Rolls and Madge Maguire, I think Bellamy's only signed because he knows it's not this year, and I think he wants to go out with a premiership, and he knows that the squad's not quite there.
Yeah, and a little bit of... I think this is going to... it's a little bit of digging that I've done, and it's a bit of rumour that I didn't want to come out with, but we all know that Bronson Garlick's now going to the South next year.
Yep.
He's no longer going to be at the Storm.
Yep.
So that leaves a question of where's their hooker depth? Harry goes down, Garlick's normally the first one in there.
Oh, it'd be wishy.
Well, now this has got me questioning. the rumour is that Storm is targeting Jaden Brayley from the Knights.
I thought he was linked to Canberra. Hasn't he signed with them?
Jaden Brayley?
Yeah.
Well, I was reading a rumour that he was rumoured to go to the Storm, and that was only a couple of days ago.
Oh, well, maybe that Canberra one isn't official. Oh, well, fair enough. Well, I mean, Canberra don't need another hooker either. That's why I thought that was a weird purchase. But to Melbourne, sounds like a very good move for all parties there.
Because, it's just... We'll have to do a bit more digging because I didn't know about the Canberra thing. But
keeping our ear to the ground there. That's interesting. But one boy who obviously a favourite of ours at Empire, Jackie Howarth, mate. He's starting to come back from that injury. He's starting to look comfortable again. He's starting to really assert himself. Yeah, he had a few moments last week, but that was his second game back.
Yeah, second game back
so
from
this
the
is
shoulder.
mate, I tell you what, he looked a lot more comfortable this week, and that's only going to grow and grow. And as you've said, long standing, he's in Origin contention.
Well, he's been named on the extended bench as well. So, do I think he deserves to be there this year? Squad, yes. In the side,
no,
no,
100%. But he got to be floating around the squad.
I'd give it one. I'll give it. If he keeps up the form he's in now, stays injury free, I could see him rivaling, say, Valentine Holmes.
Oh, easily. Oh, there's a centre spot there for the next Queensland young gun if they want it.
I could have.
Toya's got his.
I'd be quite
there's
happy.
Someone else. There's a spot there for a young gun because I think Val's only there for his goal kicking and because who else you got?
And I think if there is a hypothetical, if there is a dead rubber for Queensland,
baby Queensland side.
Oh yeah, 100%. I can see that happening.
Yeah, I can see that, and I think that'd be what is needed too. But we'll get to Origin a little bit later. Moving on, next game, Penrith 18 over the Tigers 14. This was a surprisingly good game.
It was good, but not for the reasons. I don't think we're going to agree on the reasons.
Probably not. I mean, obviously, Penrith probably made Luai look better than what he was because they didn't vary any of their shape or play. So Luai knows that shit like the back of his hand and was able to shut it down a fair bit whenever they went to his side of the field, which I don't think Penrith clicked onto often enough because if every time they went left, there was metres and points.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas every time they went right, Jerome's like, boys, I did this shit with you for 10 years. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Now, and speaking of Luai, I still, to this day, do not think he's a 7. He's a 6.
Yep, I agree, and I've got something for you later on in the show to hammer that home.
When you've got your, we'll say, the Tigers' marquee player that they signed, a 4-time premiership in the way that they waffle on with it, I do not agree with that, first of all. Now, this isn't an attack on Luai. Yes, he's up there. We all play, he's in the NRL.
Yep.
Cool. But if you're going to be signed as a halfback and your 5th tackle options are just run the ball or I'm going to run as fast sideways as I can and just throw it to someone.
Yeah. And even the kicking game for the last tackles for the Tigers is extremely questionable most sets.
Very questionable.
Mind you, Dylan Edwards, in that first half, I don't know what happened to Dylan Edwards, but he wasn't Dylan Edwards.
He looked lazy.
He looked uninterested and lazy. Like he could have stopped those first 2 tries with ease.
But it's not the Edwards that we've seen over the last couple of years where he is he is desperate to get there.
Yeah. So I don't know if they just thought they were just going to roll over the Tigers or not, but, mind you, come the back end, when it come to the crunch, Edwards in the last 10-15 minutes stood up and saved the game for him on
I'd say
multiple bombs.
And the try-saving tackle.
Oh, that was Scott Sorensen.
Yeah.
Jesus, that saved the game. That won Penrith the game. I know Edwards then took a few fantastic bombs under pressure, but if Tigers score that try that Sorensen stopped, game over. Tigers roll through again. But we've seen it 2 weeks ago with Bailey Simonson going up to contest the bomb and then obviously failing to catch the bomb.
Yep.
But when you're 2 meters in the air and falling and there's another body there, it's a natural instinct to sort of grab
the nearest thing.
Yeah. Now, that got penalised for mid-air tackle that time. It happened again, I think, to the Cowboys.
Yep. It's happened quite a few times, actually.
And it's always been penalised as a mid-air tackle.
Yep.
Even though I don't think they are 80% of the time.
I think if they've gone up for the ball and they've missed it, and then you can clearly see
if there is a legitimate grab, sure. But if you're falling and your arm is like, there's ways you have to watch the footage that most of them I don't think are tackles. But Taruva was dead set a mid-air tackle.
Mm-hmm.
The bunker looked at it. The ref looked at it. Everybody looked at it. Yet nothing. Not even a penalty.
He does it a lot though.
Yeah,
he does it a lot because he's not the most
tallest
renowned jumper.
Yeah, but I get it. But he's not getting penalised. And Nick Ennis in commentary, bugger off, brother. Go, coach. Bugger off. Because
so biased.
The way he's one-sided every single game he commentates. But the way he blew up about that penalty on Luai hitting Talangi in the kick, what he was going on about was complete rubbish because Luai got penalised not for his contact, not for where he hit him or how hard he hit him. He got penalised because he didn't take him to ground.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
It's a duty of care. I know it sounds
stupid.
It sounds stupid, really, when you think about it. But it's a duty of care because if you hit that person and momentum swings them over and they land on their neck, their head, their shoulder, something.
Yeah.
But if you hit them and you take them to ground, they're naturally...
You're going to fall more horizontal than anything else. And that has been the rule for the last maybe 2-3 years, ever since the precious kickers came in. You have to take them to ground if you're going to contact them, or at least wrap. Luai did none of that, so the penalty was fair and just.
The whole, they've got their hands around, they hit, they're falling, but they're like, oh, hang on, I've still got a hold of you.
Yeah, they just sort of cradle you to the ground, and that's fine. So that's what that penalty was for. So I don't know what Mick Ennis is going on about, but okay, we'll go back to milking penalties. The dogs.
Mitch Moses.
Now, it's a penalty every day of the week. Yes. The sin bin was harsh. I agree, but yes, Mitch has milked the living shit out of it.
Yeah,
but if you watch that game, he had to because otherwise that was never going to get called.
Yeah, a penalty.
It's a penalty every day of the week.
He's hit the leg. I don't agree with Moses.
I don't either. But the way that game was going, he had to extra sell that to even get noticed or even thought of a penalty. Now, go second half. Dogs attacking Parramatta's line as always. Burton drops the ball in a tackle. Kick out is hardly brushed by someone. He's running a decoy. He's hardly touched him. And he throws himself on the ground. So instead of a Burton knock on, it comes back to a penalty for kick out being taken out without the ball. So you won a piece there, boys. So shut the fuck up and move on. Just like we will. Raiders 36, Bunnies 12. I tell you what, this is one of the sides that is legitimately one of the only sides that I can see playing back-to-back good football week in, week out. The Canberra Raiders are the real deal. Well,
wasn't it funny as when we did our ladder, we were talking about it a few times off recordings, and they were saying that Raiders were tipped to be the wooden spooners.
I don't know which idiot come up with that.
But wasn't it on a sports bet or something like that?
I don't know what it was. It was something crazy.
Oh, I guarantee you right now, if someone's sitting there thinking about they were the one that did this, they're worried right now.
Oh, honestly, the Raiders were never going to... I had them, I think, about 9th.
I think I've had them maybe a little bit higher.
Yeah, like I had them fighting for the bottom of the 8. I didn't see this coming, and hopefully it sticks and it doesn't fade.
We might have to do a mid-season
we might have to do a fucking dive into the Raiders, because it's awesome what they're doing. But anyway, this game, again, Milestone Madness. Ewan Aiken, 200th first grade game. Matt Timoko, 100th game. Corey Horsburgh, Big Red, 100th game. And of course, Big Pappa, Josh Papali'i, 319th game for
Canberra
obviously
Raiders.
The career and for the Canberra Raiders becoming the most capped player. And you know what? He even bought me dinner.
Yep, because I know the bets you put on as well.
I put him on for an anytime try scorer.
Can I just say,
and I tell you what,
in our group chat too, we were talking about this and we went, Raiders at home, Pappa for a double.
Yeah, you threw up the double, and we all went, oh, ha, ha, ha. I had him for one, guaranteed, no matter what.
I believe.
You come up with a double, and then it happened, and yeah, well done, Wombat, because I tell you what, I wish I had put a sneaky 5 on that.
Like, he just... Oh, we'll talk about Pappa for a minute.
Yeah, go for it.
Ethan Strange lit up the Raiders to start off with.
Yeah.
And I think that set a platform for when
his
Pappa...
try celebration, did you click onto that?
Yeah.
Because the commentators missed it.
Yeah, because he did it, and I was like, I've seen Pappa do
That
that.
was a tribute to Big Pappa, man.
I've seen that.
Pappa's done that a couple of times. The waving the fingers off the nose, like that was for, and the commentators completely missed it.
They were like, "Oh, what was that?" But when
or some rubbish that they called it, but yeah, they missed the reference.
Yeah, when Pappa went over for his first one, I'll credit to the cameraman on this one. He went straight to Ricky, and the celebration from Ricky was like, I would say a dad watching his firstborn take his first steps.
Oh, easily. And the pride and the emotion in Ricky when he went over his seat, he was nearly in tears.
Not just the second time. He was happy when he kicked that goal.
Oh, yes, the conversion.
Like that
straight down the middle too, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I was like, that brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah,
like,
love seeing big boys, 1, score, 2, converting their own tries.
I nearly did a cartwheel in my living room because when Pappa went over for the second one, I think I even did it in our chat we've got, and I just blew up because it was like, he scored a double.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
But Uncle Wayne did some weird things pre-game here.
Yeah.
Dropping Humphreys to the bench so that he could rotate at hooker with Havili, and then starting Sullivan. Now, as soon as I saw that, I will admit, I did load up on Huddy Young to get a double because that was the edge that Sullivan was going to be defending on. That didn't happen. But the little bloke outside him did, Ethan Strange.
I was a little bit shocked by the Bunnies, to be honest, when they came out firing.
They came out ready to go. It was a decent game.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was like,
what it was.
I genuinely was like, oh, okay, hang on a minute.
But, they were there to spoil the party. That's no doubt about that. But
the little combination that I've noticed a fair bit. It's happened 3 times, I think it is, where the Bunnies get right down inside their 10, inside the Raiders 10 at this point, and the ball's gone out to Hubner. Then it's gone on to Keon.
Keon just a little bit wider.
That's happened 3 times now, and Keon's gone over all 3 times.
Yeah, just that little bit wider.
That little combination is starting to really kick on for them.
Yeah. No, we highlighted Hubner most weeks about how he's the one. And to be honest,
I actually spoke to him a couple of days ago.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, over the phone, and he's loving it down at the Bunnies. He's just he was mentioning about a few things that Wayne spoke to him about at the Dolphins, where he brought him across, and it's carbon copy. Wayne does not change. His methods do not change, and he looks like he's loving footy down there. He's in the starting side every week, and he's just he looks fitter, and he looks faster, but he also looks like he's enjoying himself.
Footy, 100%. No, well done to Lockie Hubner, but unfortunately, with his success, I think the career of Tallis Duncan is stalling. Possibly. Because Tallis is not a back rower. He is a 13 in today's game. So, if I'm Tallis, I'm probably looking elsewhere.
Yep.
Don't know where.
Yep.
But that's just my thoughts. But then we move on to another one of the serious contenders. Sharks 10 went down to the Waz 40 at Shark Park 2, mind you. Again, Milestone Madness.
I think I should check my WAS card for first class now. I've been on that train from the start.
Yep. Blake Brayley, 150th game.
Fact about that, actually, out of the 150 games that he's played in the NRL, his streak is currently, from the last time I checked, and I need to double check this, is at 109, I believe.
9 or 19?
I believe it was 109. It could be 119, but
he's played back-to-back.
It's over 100 games.
It's unreal.
Out of his 150, where he has not missed a game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's like the little Iron Man at the Sharks there. But I tell you what, Hiroti, not a winger.
No.
I mean, the Roosters found him out with Tupou, which anyone's going to be outmatched by Tupou. But the Waz, Dallin got over him this time.
Yeah.
And Dallin's nowhere near the height. Talented, 100%, great in the air, yes. But Hiroti, mate, Fitzy's got to change that around. And the scrambled D from the Warriors kept them in the first half.
Yeah.
Because that was getting a little bit scary.
The Waz have done that
Yeah.
week in, week out, where they're there for each other.
Yeah. Well, if your team's scrambling well in defence, that's not a coaching thing.
No,
that's a team bonding. That means your team is there for each other.
And I think that's, like, you see the celebrations they have, even just after one try, is just phenomenal. Like, the way that they all get around each other, but even get around the young boys too. Like, it doesn't seem like there's I'll get there in a minute. It's their whole pack is in there celebrating a try.
It's almost like they're getting penalised in the review if you're the last one into the try celebration huddle.
In a way, it kind of is like that.
But I'll tell you what, I think the Sharks need to look at their recruitment.
They're very hot and cold.
Because
I will admit,
Fanua Blake is not the signing they thought they were getting. Now, I knew this. I called this from the start. I didn't think this was a good signing. I thought this was a PR stunt more than a good signing. Obviously, lately, and with the game that Metcalf's been having, the decision to let Metcalf go but retain Nico is starting to be a story. There's also young Sam Healey that played for the Warriors, who was a Cronulla hooker. Now, Blake Brayley's done nothing wrong. By far their most consistent and best player. So, yep, that one's okay.
I will admit, for the late inclusion of Sam Healey and Wade Egan, Sam Healey, what? Oh, yeah.
Had a game similar to what Owen Paddy did last week.
It reminds me of a young Wade Egan.
Yeah, right.
When he first started.
I wonder who's mentoring him then.
Yeah.
But the Sharks bench, when they came on, so Talakai and the likes, all of a sudden the Sharks start going forward and going through the middle, which is where the Sharks need to play.
Yeah.
But the damage was already done. The Waz had already destroyed the middle in the first half. And again, the halves, the kick, Trindle was off, which means, unfortunately, Nico gets lost. And their fifth tackle option's poor again.
Like, when Trindle's lost, Nico Hines panics. I've noticed that a lot. But speaking of the Waz, like, I've been on that train for a long time now.
We'll have to get your passport changed.
Have to. But one of two players from the, and it was something we spoke about just before we sat down. Ever since when Barnett went down, right?
Yep.
He went down for that injury. The player that stood up was Jackson Ford.
Yep.
The next person last week, as well as Jackson Ford, was Nickel Klukstad.
Yeah, chance,
as well.
yeah.
Like, they went after it. So far this entire year, there has been one player each game from the Waz that has stood up.
Yeah, 100%. I thought their two young back rowers were phenomenal in the second half as well.
Yeah. So you've got Metcalf, who stood up on quite a few occasions. You've got Chans has stood up. He's consistent, but a lot of times he goes unnoticed. But he stands up a lot.
Yep.
Jackson Ford, he's still young, but he's been battling a few injuries, but he's still there in out. Wade Egan is just... Yeah, he is the glue of that side.
Young Dimitrik and Leka.
Leka Halasima, he is a favourite here. It just... That side, if that can stay and that consistency there and that fight for each other, I reckon the Waz will be premiership worthy in the next couple of years.
Oh, mate, just ring the bell now. Give me a Canberra Warriors grand final.
Wouldn't that be a game?
Honestly, I don't care who wins because I'm happy for both.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's just where it's at the moment. Last game, Wombat. Now, it is a flogging, but I've left it for last for a few reasons. The Dolphins 56 over the Dragons 6. Dragons, terrible, didn't get off the bus, didn't come out of the sheds at all. That's fine. That's cool. I'm not going to hammer the Dragons anymore because I know for a fact that Flano is tearing them a new one for the next 14 days. But it is very hard. Well, it's not hard. It is one of the most simplest things in rugby league to do, and that's take the space on offer to you. We see so many teams fuck it up.
Yep.
So many teams go
Because
sideways.
They try and overplay their hand.
Exactly. Masterclass from the Dolphins in Isaiah Katoa, Cody Nikorima. Every time they got the ball, they took the meters on offer and then looked to play. Now, that is the only reason they kept momentum for the whole game.
Yeah, okay.
Because we see a lot of teams do this. They get the momentum, they get the roll, and the defense is retreating, yet the half gets the ball and straight away it's zinged out to the left or the right. And then what happens then? It just keeps going until the winger decides...
Or they throw a big giant cutout
yeah,
pass
and it goes over the
straight to
sideline. Or the winger's there and then 90% of the time getting taken out over the sideline. Take the space on offer. Any young half, go back and watch that game and watch what Nikorima and Katoa did, because that is simple but perfect. And look, a lot of high points in this one, but obviously Katoa and Nikorima stood out. Oren Keeley, another one that you've got a little bit of contact with it from back in the day, but he's still in that in-between sort of place. He is way too good for Queensland Cup.
Yeah.
Way too good.
But I think it's that
But when it comes to the NRL, he has great moments,
Yeah.
and then there's just something missing.
I think that comes down to experience too, because he's...
More than likely.
I think he's in that weird position. Like, they signed Fini Fuiaki, Lemuelu, and help me out here. There's a couple of other back rows that they've got there. You've got the likes of, say, Ray Stone every now and then goes in there. You've got Gilbert, who's unfortunately out with an injury.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've had, at the start of the year, we had Max Platt go in there.
Yeah, so...
Like, those five alone, like, they're some big boys. Now, Oren Keeley, he's in the side, he's out of the side, but every single time I see him on the extended bench, every time.
Oh, mate, he is worthy, and he'll get there. Maybe he just needs that consistency, like be on the bench for a month solid, just to get used to it. But he is there, and he's definitely one to watch. I still reckon Lemuelu needs to be starting. I think he's an 80-minute back rower, and he's starting to look like Nanai. He's starting to do Nanai things.
when he jumped over the top of Gutherson, what the
chest and shoulders above him and takes it
Bostock,
clearly.
sit down.
Yeah. That's another name too. Jackie Bostock, coming back from serious injuries again, a bit like Jackie Howarth. Mate, he's starting to look good again. He's starting to go, I can play footy again.
I think that's more just trust in his body again.
100%. And Howarth's the same. Like, after serious injuries, it's trusting your body and getting back into it. But Bostock will play Origin one day. Same with Jack Howarth, on opposite sides, obviously. But you've got to really start looking at Isaiah Katoa as one of the top 5 halfbacks in the competition.
If he keeps this form up, then hell
You
yeah,
have to.
it would be.
Like, I've got him ahead of Metcalf because we've seen it from Izzy Katoa for a lot longer. We've seen it all last year, and it's just going from strength to strength this year.
Yeah.
Metcalf, give me the rest of this year and the start of next year, and I'll talk to him about it. But at the moment, I think Izzy Katoa is in the top 5 best halfbacks in the competition. And this was the first time in Dolphins history that they put 50 points on an opposition. So, well done.
Another fact you had there was Herbie Fun with 50th try.
Oh, it was too. 50th try, career try. Milestone Madness, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, a couple of interesting headlines have popped up this week, Wombat.
Yeah, quite a few, actually.
Dylan Brown has been suspended for 1 game for running into the back of the referee.
Game? I thought it was 2. But
no, it was 2 if he fought it.
Oh, okay, I read that
But Parramatta have wise to the judiciary and gone, well, there's no point fighting this if you've charged him, so screw you, we'll take the 1 week. Now, the game he misses is against the Titans, so it's probably not a huge issue. Sorry, Badger. But, go back to the Penrith Tigers game. Jerome Luai did exactly the same thing. He's not even cited, not even spoken about. Please explain.
That's weird.
Yeah. And then, unfortunately, the Dolphins, their forward pack is losing losing artillery left, right, and centre here. Gilbert's gone for the season. He's had to have surgery to repair another tear in his shoulder, plus that pec injury. So he's done. Daniel Saifiti's gone for shoulder surgery because they couldn't rehab it. So he's done for the year. And Max Plath has done ACL damage. And most likely going to require surgery, which means his year is done as well. So, look, I like the Finns, but without those three, I think they struggle towards the back end.
Depth, I think they're going to struggle with the most. Another one was, what's his? Oh, I'm going to pronounce his first name wrong, but Tamale, the young winger from Raiders. That looked
awkward.
It looked awkward, but it didn't look like there was anything wrong in the tackle.
No, there's nothing illegal in the tackle.
I think it was that when he landed. Yeah. I think that's what's done the damage. Because correct me if I'm wrong, it wasn't just a kneecap dislocation. There's also part of the patella, similar to what Pappy did.
Yeah, I think part of the patella is either fractured or floating. I mean, the patella floats anyway, but but anyway, young Tamale, he's gone for at least 10, maybe 12 weeks with that kneecap, so that's a bit rough because buggered me fantasy side, but anyway.
He buggered a lot of fantasy sides, unfortunately.
But no, we wish the young fella fast recovery because he's been a joy to watch this year. Now, we come to one of our favourite clubs, the Tigers. They have picked up Talon May, officially signed on a train and trial deal, and is available if they seem worthy. He's available for selection straight away. So we could see him in a Tigers jersey this year. I mean, I've got no issue with it. He's there because his brother's there. Yep. It makes sense. I just don't think the Tigers are the right club for him. But that's a whole nother issue. I don't think the Tigers will help him be a better person.
Do we see maybe this as a similar thing to the Knights, where the Knights signed Leo Thompson's little brother
to keep
Leo, but now Leo's leaving?
Yep. I think it's very similar because I think, I've said for a while, I think Terrell May's the next one out of the Tigers, but this may keep him there because we know that family is quite
imagine if the
close.
doggies snag May.
Nah.
Terrell. Imagine, just think about that.
That'd be a nice little rivalry, but there's no way in hell that they can afford him.
Oh no!
You know who could?
Who?
Para, and they need another prop.
What about Dolphins?
I can't see Terrell going north.
Yeah, I don't. But I can
see him staying in Western Sydney, and that's why I'm sort of
I'm rattling off
that Western Sydney belt. But the other thing Tigers have done.
What's that?
Adam Reynolds will give you 2 years and more money because the Broncos are only offered him one and about 350k.
Well, this just goes back to there's
no genuine 7.
Yeah, Luai not being a 7. And of all people, realistically, Benji Marshall being a fantastic 6-string in his career, he would know what it takes what it takes to be a 7.
Yeah. Look, I think again, Tigers recruitment's been a basket case for 15 years, so this is no real surprise, but just interesting to
I don't see Reynolds leaving
Brisbane.
Broncos.
Nah, I don't either, but the fact that the Tigers are doubled down and gone hard at him again just proves our point about Luai. But some other big news dropped earlier in the week or late last night today.
Well, we'll do the easy one about the New South Wales. We'll do the New South Wales because there's a little bit less of that.
There's only one force change, and that's
because of
Barnett out injured, and so Max King promoted to start, which after his performance against Parramatta I got no issue with. I did have question marks about it before that, but I'm fine with it now. And Stefano comes onto the bench. I don't like that. I think there was 2 better options in Keon and May.
Yep.
I would have gone Keon, but look, Stefano's there. I think a season too early, but he's there. And Matty Bird's been called in as 18th man again. Much to the disgust of the Bulldogs.
Doggies fans, eat your heart out. Good thing you got a bye though.
Oh, they'll still whinge about it. They had a bye last time and they still whinged about it. Because it was Kurt Mann.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, funny enough, talking about Kurt Mann, if we go back on the Queensland side, there are quite a lot of changes, and we'll kick it off with the Biggest one, no DCE.
Yeah, you've dropped your captain and your halfback.
Yes. Now...
Because your forwards didn't go forward, it's your halfback's fault. Still trying to figure that one out.
Makes sense. Now, Tommy Dearden to take the 7.
I got no issue with Tommy being the replacement. Tommy was always going to get there. I just thought Queensland being Queensland, like you give the legend the benefit of the doubt.
We can understand that. Now, one thing I'll bring up, and I heard it today on my way home. Now, the guy, one guy was talking about it, but he was talking about it from both sides, right? So, New South Wales fans always say, "Oh, but you don't stick to loyalty," and they're trying to throw the whole
that's just shit stuff.
Yeah, I understand that, but this guy actually he broke it right down, and he started talking about, okay, you've done this, and Queensland done that, New South Wales done that. So he went, okay, cool. New South Wales have come out and said this. Queensland's counter. You dropped your series winning captain.
He was unavailable for selection.
Understand that. That was the
yeah. I understand the arguments, and this is the beautiful. And finally, we've got some banter between the states when it comes to Origin.
It's not like
it's been so sterile for so many years now. But the other big drop,
Beau Fermor.
He didn't do anything wrong.
Very limited. He got 12 minutes, I think it was.
Like, how do you drop
now?
Then you bring in Kurt Capewell, who is just the older version of Beau Fermor.
Yeah, realistically, because Beau Fermor's played centre, he's played back row, he's fit, he's fast, he's young, he's in good form.
100%.
By far from the Titans, Fermor and Tino are the two best players in that side.
Yeah.
Right now, realistically.
Yeah.
Now, another change is Hammer to the wing, Val Holmes to centre. Do I agree with those? No. Can I understand why? Yes.
I'm so glad Val Holmes in the centre, because look at the bath gag I gave him after game 1.
Realistically, thinking about a couple of those things.
Give me credit, give me Latrell at him. I could see you later, Val.
Yeah, I started thinking, even after that Knights game against Manly, I started thinking, hey, pick up the phone.
Gags.
SOS, Gagai.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
We need that niggle man.
Yeah, I thought Gags was going to get a call-up. I thought that's what that game was, but obviously not.
Because, it leads me into the next point. Now, we'll start with the bench. So, we've got... And I genuinely, when I read this team list, I laughed and went, give New South Wales the shield. And that's coming from a Queenslander. Because, unfortunately, Carrigan to bench, Nanai to the bench, Kurt Mann at 14, love that for him. Yep. And I think that's the best 14 we could have picked.
Yep. And Lindsay Collins, the other bench forward.
And Lindsay Collins is the only other justifiable one that I could see on the bench. Now, Carrigan on the bench, if you lived under a rock, obviously you don't watch State of Origin, but Liero's to start at 13.
Fuck yeah.
Coming from a Queenslander, but also a Storm fan, that is the wrong move to do.
Oh, 100%.
Because his discipline this year has been shocking.
Yeah.
He's just going to get targeted. He's going to get worn out. And plus, too, Carrigan has started in Origin before. He has played 13 a couple of times now at 13. I don't think he's done anything wrong, because what I think is going to be happening now is Carrigan's going to get thrown into the front row.
Yep, and only front row.
Yep.
Which, before he starts at 13, plays that distributor if needed, or if the game is going a different way, he'll play that running role. Where, yes... In theory, you can do the same thing at prop, but we've seen it. It doesn't work. We've seen it at the Broncos. Because that was the plan up there, was to have that, but and have an extra middle, blah, blah, blah.
We'll take 3, for example. You've got... Well, actually, take quite a few more. If I include Kurt Mann in this, as a 13 at Clubland, right?
Yep.
You've got Kurt Mann, Trent Liero, Pat Carrigan, Tino, Ruben Cotter. Now... All of those, you got 5 13s in that side.
Yep.
I can see a lot of issues with that.
Yeah, look, I don't think Cotter should be starting back row, because he's not a back rower. He's the perfect man to come off the bench in the middle.
I could imagine Cotter and Kurt Mann coming on the field.
Yuck.
And just going bang, bang, rabid dogs, just go.
Yeah, that's more intimidating than... Yes, I know Carrigan had impact and punch, but that's quite easy to handle after 1 or 2 runs. Once you know...
I'll pitch this to you. So, obviously, rattled a few cages and got a few fishing lines going off on my post.
Predicted one, yep.
The predicted one. All intentional for the good reasons. A realistic side for me for this one would be, unfortunately, I can't trust Walsh coming back off one to two games injuries. Unfortunately, it has to default to Kalen Ponga.
Nah, put Hammer at the back.
You reckon Hammer at...
Put Hammer at fullback.
Right.
That is much scarier than any other option you've got at the moment.
Let's put Hammer at fullback for that instance, all right? One wing, Xavier Coates, picks himself.
Done.
Robert Toyer, safe in game 1. The other centre...
Probably Gags.
My pick is Gags. The other winger...
You could have Val on the wing.
Val on the wing? Yeah, maybe.
Or Cobbo, or... Like, I don't think you lose much with either. Like, they're basically the same these days.
Pretty much, yeah. But, so we'll go Val Holmes on that side. 6 and 7, Munster Dearden.
Yeah.
Happy with that. Front row, I've got Collins and Tino.
Starting, yeah.
At 9,
Harry.
Unfortunately, Harry. I think he needs to have a break from that. Or just the casual, we'll just drop you.
Yeah.
Because Queensland seems to be doing that a lot lately. 11, I'd have Nanai.
Yep.
12, I'd have Fermor.
Yep.
13, Carrigan.
Yep.
14, Kurt Mann.
Yep.
Then I'd have, really, on a realistic side of things, I would probably have Kurt Capewell on my bench as that little bit of back rower cover because a centre goes down.
Yeah.
Both Fermor in there, Capewell onto there.
Back row, yeah. Look, it works.
And then I'd have probably Corey Horsburgh off the bench.
Yeah.
And then it'd pretty much be who else is playing really, really good footy.
Well, you'd have Cotter on the bench for sure. Done. There's your bench. Yeah. I mean...
Because it could jumble depending on how the game is. Are you one up, one down? But again, we don't get paid the big dollars to make these calls.
Don't get paid any dollars.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But rounding this sort of talk off, I will say, and this is a thing that I was very happy with. I picked it last week. I'm very happy with this decision. But Cameron Munster as captain, 16th captain of the Maroon side.
I think it's the right move.
It is.
Because if you go back and you watch Origin 1, every mistake that was made or every bad pass that was thrown, there was only one man that had expression on his face like, what the fuck are we doing? Or why are you doing that? Or what's going on? What is going on? And that was Munster.
And he was going after
he was
everything.
The only one that actually looked like he gave a shit.
And everyone calls him out on... As you said, he gave a shit about the game, but he was everywhere. And everyone goes, but he missed 10 tackles in Origin. Okay, cool. He missed 10 out of 40 he did. 30 tackles out of 40. That sounds a lot better than going, you missed 10 tackles.
Not only that, I'd like to see whoever's saying this mark up at 4-man and defend Angus Crichton or Hudson Young or Latrell Mitchell or someone.
And then play 80 minutes as well.
Mate, you're not missing 10 tackles, you're missing 30. So,
no,
sit down.
They're not getting on the field.
Yeah, so...
Now, Munster at
you want to talk missed tackles? Kurt Capewell's got 65 for the year, but he's just starting back rower. Okay. Anyway.
But Munster's captain, he said a few times, I follow him on socials, the way he spoke at the press conference release, where they announced the side, I touched on it when there was a review on how Munster was looking
much more mature.
Yeah, but he was talking to Craig Bellamy was in the press conference. He stood in because Harry Grant was out.
Yeah.
He's sitting there and he's turned to Craig Bellamy. Little things throughout the year is just going, he's going up in maturity level here.
I can't disagree with you at all there. And that's why I thought Munster as club captain might have worked as well, because it's the same thing there. When things aren't going right, he's the only one that looks like he cares. But that's that. We've got to wrap it up here, Wombat. I think that's all we had on the show. That's it. I will leave you with one thought.
What's that?
when Queensland come over to Perth next week, when Billy gets off the bus, do you reckon we have a Scooby-Doo moment and he pulls off his mask and it's actually Brad Fittler? With all these changes, mate.
No, I reckon Brad Fittler will crawl out from the cargo. He'll crawl out and be like, what's going on?
But anyway, that's all we've got time for today, folks. Thanks for joining us.